How's it going, guys? Coach Paul here. We're here with our first episode of our podcast, Chalk Talk. We're here with Darius Muasau. Usually we have been doing Chalk Talk videos, but we want to kind of convert it to a podcast. So we're going to kick it off here with Darius, which is perfect timing. He heads out of Hawaii tomorrow morning, so we wanted to make sure we get this in. But man, without further ado, man, I just wanted to go ahead and for Hawaii athletes especially, but I mean across the nation, if you're watching, we just wanted Darius to share his story. I think he has an incredible story. We just got done talking to some athletes here that we have in our summer program, and it was pretty profound in in his journey. So just pretty much, Darius, we just want you to go ahead and share your journey, just as a young Hawaii athlete, and maybe just being a poly background. I know you shared something about where you're at now, where you're the only poly, and which is an incredible thing. So yeah, Darius, man, what was it like, at the young age when you start playing your sport, and what sport or sports do you play?
Yeah, so my name is Darius Muasau. I play linebacker for the New York Giants, and I started playing football at the age of 7. I grew up in Evo Beach. My both of my parents raised me up there, me and all my brothers. I'm second eldest of 6 boys in the family. Like I said, I started playing ball at the age of 7. Started off playing flag football, of course, and then worked my way up to tackle. I played for Evo Beach Sabres, and then did my elementary school days there. And then once I got to middle school, I played for Mililani, the Millville Trojans, and then met up with Coach Shark, and he brought me up to the high school, to Mililani High School. And that's where I ended up playing my high school ball there. Graduated 2019. And then, I attended the University of Hawaii. That was my only offer coming out of high school. And so I went there. I was there for 3 years. And then I went to UCLA, transferred over to UCLA for 2 years. And to the draft, got picked up, drafted by the New York Giants. And, picked 183 of the draft. And, now I'm here.
Perfect. Now, just going back to Darius's journey, when you started playing at the age of 7, was that tackle or was it flag, or what type of football was it?
Yes, I started off playing flag football. I actually played flag football for at least like 2 years before I actually started my first year of actual tackle football. And so like my dad was big on just getting the fundamentals down of, getting my hips down, grabbing flags, because that transfers over to making a tackle for sure.
100%.
And so that's what my dad was big on, and just also understanding the mechanics of football as far as making catches, throwing the ball, just little footwork, working the ladder drills and things like that, and just knowing being around football. And so that was a great experience playing that.
100%. I talk about this all the time because. Let me ask you this question before I follow up with this. I've talked about it many times before. That's one of the great things about having to talk with someone. And this is not a pre-prompt, like he didn't even have questions ahead of time. We're just doing this on the fly. So I'm assuming you played 7-on-7 when you were older. Right. In translation, the question is, would you say that 7-on-7 football translates more to tackle, or would you say flag football translates more to tackle football? And I asked that question because you said something about watching the hips and pulling flags.
That's interesting, because there's certain aspects that I think there are in 7-on-7 that would carry on to tackle football, but then there's also some things that you can do the same exact things in flag football. And so, like you mentioned, 7-on-7 didn't get introduced until like my junior year of high school.
Right.
And so that's kind of when we started going on trips. We went on to Vegas. That was like my one trip that I went on for that 7-on-7 pylon kind of deal. But as far as my position as linebacker, like the most football related it is we're just getting into our drop and playing ball from there. And it's kind of unrealistic in a way, I would like to say, as far as, as a linebacker, you're reading run to pass. But in this, like a linebacker, like the linebacker is just going straight into this drop rather than, okay, I have to read my keys, read the lineman to the quarterback, understanding the formation, what kind of formation is going on. But like nowadays, I see in 7-on-7 pylon, like they don't even have a linebacker or a true linebacker playing the linebacker position. I always see like these 7-on-7 teams, they have 7 DBs on the field at a time, and they're just playing man the whole time. Like at that point, like, jeez, you can be doing that on your free time. Like just go to the park and do one-on-one drills at that point, or even like I said, like even in flag, like you can just go play man to man and learn that fundamentals. But like those are all things that you can do, like practice on your own rather than going on trips and spending all this money doing all these tournaments rather than actually getting down to the nitty gritty of playing actual football, live action football. And so yeah, that's just my take on it. Like as a linebacker, honestly, to such an extent is good, but I would say like not really fully commit to always go to 7-on-7 tournament rather than going to actual football practice. Yes, or anything like that.
100%. So I'm glad you said it that way, and because my point that I always make is that I have parents, like especially when the kids, sometimes especially in Hawaii, it's really competitive. Like here in Oahu, it's almost comparison to like anywhere else in the nation right now.
Yes.
But we also have a flag football league on Maui that also has 7-on-7.
Right.
So I had parents ask, like, at 12 or 10, like we had opened it up to where by the time you hit 12, they were forced to do 7-on-7 in that league.
Yeah.
We kind of changed that up where you can be up to age of 15 because that's how it is here in Oahu.
Yeah.
Because kids aren't ready for 7-on-7.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just doing it as recreational. But even for tackle football players, and what happens is parents don't really understand it. So they think that 7-on-7 is where they should be by like 10 years old, 12 years old. Like they have to be playing sevens because flag football is a kiddie thing. It's a kid thing. So my feedback, and this is my opinion, which is kind of aligning with what Darius is saying, is that in my opinion is what I tell parents is, to me, flag football emulates more of tackle than 7-on-7. And what you said was correct. It depends what position and how you look at it.
Yes.
But why I say flag is, number one, what you pointed out. Defense, what are you trained to look at on an offensive player running at you?
Yeah. On defense, you're always looking at the hips every single time.
So playing flag football, you're dialed in and you're looking at the hips.
Same mechanic.
So even if you're not tackling, you're still dialed in on the hips.
Yes, building that fundamental, building that that memory of looking at the hips, getting down in my stance, getting ready to make that impactful tackle rather than pylon. Let me just go tag him with one.
Exactly.
Let me go touch him like this.
My point taken.
Yeah.
And also, when you're running the ball, say on your offense side on flag, you have to make those same moves you have to make in tackle.
Right.
Maybe some things are ridiculous with the spinning.
Yeah.
Like get away with the hip.
Yep.
But in pylon or 7-on-7, I don't use pylon. A lot of people say pylon, but it's actual company. People don't understand it. They go, "Oh, you're doing pylon?" It's no, we don't have pylon. We can't call it pylon because that's the actual company.
Yes. So 7-on-7.
I say that you're literally just not looking at the hips. You're just tagging them on the and literally you're not. Most kids aren't making the crazy moves. Some do. They're making them miss, but for the most part, they're just catching, kind of running out of bounds or doing what they can till they get tagged.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect. The second one for me is, as a quarterback, at least in flag, I think they changed up in some leagues in 7-on-7, but in flag, you actually have a rusher.
Yep.
So like quarterback has to elude and run and pass.
Yes.
Whereas in 7-on-7, most of the leagues, they're stationary. It's a X amount of second count.
Yes.
There's no pressure except for time.
Yep.
So to me, it's good for reps. I always said 7-on-7 is great for reps.
For sure.
But like you said, I wouldn't put all my focus in my off season, especially for older kids who are gearing up for high school, to just play 7-on-7 the entire off season and focusing on all this travel in pylons or all the other tournaments they have going on.
Right.
And then to me, it takes them away from the real work of getting bigger, faster, stronger. And I think that's where a lot has changed today. Like you only had to witness it from your junior season and on.
Yes.
Today, it's like coaches are using that. High school coaches are using this 5-on-5, 7-on-7s in a way to keep their kids working in practice mode versus the off season mode.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's one thing that I'm just like, if I had to choose, I would choose flag. I'm not saying don't do 7-on-7,
Right.
but maybe focus on one tournament and then get into off season mode. So that was just my whole point about that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I totally agree, 100%. Like you said, one thing that caught my attention, as you said, is that they're pretty much practicing bad habits when they do, like in 7-on-7. Once they make that catch, they're palming the ball with one hand. They're just making moves,
Not touching,
practicing bad habits, no ball security at all.
Yeah.
And also they're just moving their hips all over the place. And then another thing that you mentioned was the blitzing. For the most part, there's not too much blitzing implemented into the
I think
into
it's
the
like
system.
one down.
Yeah, one down.
Yeah.
But also, if they were to blitz, I would see like the blitzers are lined up right on the where they snap the ball, and they're just going right off the bat. So that's not realistic
Not
in
even
any way.
like flag where they're
Yes.
7 yards off.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like the rush is getting right in the quarterback's face when they do blitz, so that's not realistic. And for the leagues that don't involve any blitzing, like the quarterback is just up there the whole time, boom, with no pressure in his face.
Right.
Usually, I mean, not all plays you're gonna have pressure in your face, but you will feel the presence of the lineman, invading your space and invading that pocket, and that's just the presence that will make you like quarterbacks. Just that's why all the good quarterbacks. That's all the good quarterbacks they'll pick because they feel the presence of just a D lineman. Now, even though the D linemen don't get home, it's just their body presence right there that causes them to make those bad throws and all that. And so that's another aspect that I feel like that doesn't really carry over to tackle football in a way, rather than in flag football you mentioned like the same way after you make the catch you're palming that thing, you're making like the same football moves that you do in tackle football for the most part. As far as I see, like kids these days, they still catch the ball, boom, they palm it, ball security high and tight, boom, make that move, one cut. Usually there's no like two cut or like crazy like you see in 7-on-7.
Right.
They're like going back and forth, just trying to find a way to avoid getting touched by one hand.
Right.
Really,
Right.
rather than trying to avoid someone trying to fully make a tackle on you. And so
Right.
that
was my other statement about pylon, which is unrealistic, or 7-on-7, is that to me it's a defense. The defense has all the advantages in a way because off the line they can grab.
right.
You see guys getting thrown to the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, that would never happen in a tackle game.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I mean, that's just my opinion again. But yeah, so my point to all this is I'm not saying don't play 7-on-7. Don't only play flag.
Yeah.
But you have to understand what comes with it and what your goal is at the end of the day. And I believe majority of guys who play 7-on-7 do play tackle.
Yes.
So the focus, my point to all this is just to say it's good for reps. Maybe get a tournament in if you want to travel. Do you have to travel for it? Absolutely not. And this is not to downplay anybody and everything because, we represent Hawaii and we love what all Hawaii athletes do. And then we have the one team called Low Pro, and we're doing amazing things in the 7-on-7 realm. But I think for Hawaii young athletes, I think sometimes it gives them a false sense of like where they really want to be in tackle. Like they're destroying it in nationally, right? They're winning championships
Good stuff
in 7-on-7. But realistically, the way I see it, with some of these teams who they have 4 or 5-star players that they're beating in 7-on-7, my question is, what would it look like if they had pads on? Like, would it be the same? I'm not doubting, the team. I'm just saying, though, would it be the same result? So don't look at it as like 7-on-7 is. I guess to sum it all up, in your opinion, you being through at University of Hawaii, you playing at high level at UCLA, and now with the New York Giants getting drafted as a rookie, is 7-on-7 something that college recruiters look at? In your opinion, have you ever witnessed people getting recruited just based on 7-on-7 play?
I haven't seen anyone get an offer just from 7-on-7 play. Now it's good reps to look at, like you mentioned. It's good stuff to see. Like especially when you go out to these tournaments and all that. Like all these coaches, they come out and they see the potential that you have, but now once they see that, they want to transfer it over to real ball. They want to see you make those plays with pads on, make those PBUs as a DB, make those catches as a wide receiver, but at the same time, they want to see those DBs tackle in space. They want to see if they have that real dog in them when the pads do come on. And as far as linebackers, just getting to your jobs, being able to be an athlete, play in space and all that. But yeah, it's very tough for linebackers to really get any looks just purely off of just 7-on-7.
Right.
And
I've seen a lot of great 7-on-7 wide receivers.
Yes, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? But
Yes.
when they put the pads on, they're nowhere near that same receiver, because me being a receiver myself, I mean, I know I'm not going to get hit playing 7-on-7.
Right.
So I'll make some ridiculous grabs, or I'll be going across the middle and not have any care in the world.
Yeah.
But I knew in tackle football, like I never played 7-on-7. My days that didn't exist. Flag barely existed. We only had park league.
Yeah.
Like Cal League. We didn't even have a league. We just played against other parks.
Yeah.
So I just know my whole mentality of a receiver was playing high school ball. And then why not high school? Back then, we didn't have the rules that they have now for, like, there was no targeting. There was none of that.
Right.
When you got hit with the head leading, you got hit.
Yep.
So that was my mentality coming over the middle, was knowing I could get hit,
Yes.
and I got to secure the ball. So,
Right.
I mean, my mentality was just different with that. So I think a lot of these players these days get so caught up in the, like you said, Pylon. And I'm mentioning Pylon because this is the company that got big in 7-on-7.
Yes.
They created a culture of showboating. They created a culture of swag. And it's not bad for what they're doing.
Yep.
The problem is these kids get twisted and coaches don't correct it, where they're taking this culture to tackle.
Yes.
There was that one receiver, I forget his name. He was playing at Oregon University. And coach would always get on him because every time he caught that ball, number one, he wasn't securing. He looked like he was out there playing 7-on-7. Great athlete.
Right.
He was showboating the same way on the field.
Yep.
They have videos of it. You can look it up. I don't know the player's name. I forget. But you can go look up Oregon wide receiver that got kicked off for Oregon. And he literally, eventually, the coach sent him on. Because the player would not give in to what the coach was trying to teach him, which is the discipline.
Wow.
So he ended up getting released. He did end up playing at another university, but that's a perfect example of, like, high school coaches sometimes don't, maybe the high school coaches are their coaches for 7-on-7, and they're not correcting the discipline that needs to be in tackle. Anyways, we can talk forever on this topic.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So you started playing tackle football roughly about 9 years old, 10 years old, you would say?
Yeah, around 6th grade. What is that?
Around 10, 11. Then.
Yeah, 10, 11. Yes,
Okay.
that's when I first started.
Awesome.
Yes.
So would you say, like, in your opinion, a lot of times these days, parents might think that they have to start. You see them 5, 6 years old playing tackle. Do you think that's a need, in your opinion?
Honestly, at that age, they're kind of too young to kind of be playing tackle. I feel like they need to, like, build up to it rather than it's kind of like throwing them just straight into it.
Like, even with speed training, right?
Yes.
Or even weight training, you need a foundation.
Yes, exactly.
So no different in the skill of football or any other sport.
Yes.
You should build the foundation
Yes, for
first.
sure.
Which is flag.
Yes,
Flag,
that's the exact mindset that my parents had, was to put me in flag first, build that foundation, get the fundamentals down of pulling a flag because it leads to tackling, get the fundamentals of, making a one cut because it leads to, making a cut and getting open as a running back. And then understanding how to catch a ball, that's another important thing. And no matter what position you are, everything is all about the ball, all about the football. And so those are just little things that you need, those skill set that you need before you start going around and live bullets start flying all over the place. But I mean, I get it though. Like, at the young age, like, also their kids are young, but also, like, they're learning with everyone. But I feel like you'll get the most out of learning from, just no pads at all, really, and just having just a football being thrown around and with flags and all that. I feel like that's how the kids will learn the basics the best. I would say.
So real quick. So then you playing tackle football. Nowadays you have fall season, spring season in youth football, youth tackle football.
Yeah.
So did you play both fall and spring, or did you just play one? And why?
Yes. So I only played in the spring, and then during the fall was like considered fall and summer. That was considered like my off season. So like that spring season, what did that went all the way up until like my summer break right there, and I only played that because, you know, my parents thought of like the off season to be like my training time. That's when I would always be at the park, be in the lab, always working on speed and agility things that will help improve my game for the spring season rather than just playing year round. But with the tackle football in the spring, I would be playing flag football though. Even though it's nothing, it's not as it doesn't take too much of a toll
Right.
as
So Saturday you play tackle and then
Yes.
Sunday play flag.
yeah. So no, it was more so after my spring
Oh, in
season
the
was
fall,
done.
summer
Yes,
and
yes.
fall.
It was just like I think I would play in the summer. I would play like a little like flag football. It was a quick season too because flag is always quick.
Right.
It's always a fast season.
Yep, like 7 weeks,
Yes,
8 weeks.
just to
max.
kind of maintain like
The foundation.
yes, the foundation, exactly what I learned through my spring season of tackle, and kind of work on those mistakes that I made, and kind of go back to the basics, back to flag football, and kind of fix up the fundamentals.
I have a question. So your dad, I'm assuming, might have coached you in flag, or did you
Yes.
have other coaches?
I mean, I had other coaches, but my
Yeah.
dad was like my first coach.
So
Yeah.
how many days a week would you guys have flag football practice when you played?
When we played,
Yeah.
it was like every other day. So just Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
3 days a week?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I asked that question because you have coaches these days, they have 5 days a week flag football practice.
Oh,
It's kind of, to me, it's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not tackle football.
yeah.
Like you said, you'd be in flag, but yet you'd be working on other things
Yeah.
that builds the foundation. So
Right.
I just, I think it's pretty wild. I think we used to run a flag football team here,
Yeah.
and they'd only practice 2 days, maybe 3
2
days
days,
a
yeah.
week. And then the other days, they're definitely 4 days a week doing speed agility
Yeah.
training.
Doing some kind of training. Yes.
Because so when parents come to me and they say, I want to do wide receiver training, my kid is 8 years old.
Yes.
And my first question to them as a trainer, I'm like, have they ever done speed agility training? And they say no. And the reason why I asked that question is because if they've never done the proper speed agility training, which
Yep.
is the foundation of how to move your feet, how to make breaks, how to
Yep.
change direction, all the things we teach in speed agility, then it's going to be difficult for them to catch up on the type of wide receiver training that we do, even for an 8-year-old here.
Right.
I'm a wide receiver. I train the wide receivers at 6 years old, 7-year-old, all the way through the top. But I always tell parents it's difficult to train them the way I want to train them if they don't even have the basics in
Yeah.
how to move
Yes.
and run. So yeah, we just make sure speed agility is always a foundational thing, like it was for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't go to a specific program growing up, but
Yeah.
at least your dad or whoever you were working out with
Yep.
had an idea of how to work it. So that was a big thing. So he said he didn't play 2 seasons a year, and that was kind of along the line of what I always preach is you should only play 1 tackle football season a year. I mean, in high school, it's only 1 season.
Right.
College, you only play 1 season. In the pros, you only play 1 season. And then what do you do when you're done with season in high school, college, and pro? You get right back to off-season training, getting
Right.
bigger, stronger, faster, and working on the things that you need to
Yeah.
work on to be better for the next season. And for example, I don't know, Darius went through this, is that when I was in college and the season was done, the first thing we would do is have a meeting with our head coach, and then he would tell us, and our positional coach, and they would tell us exactly what they wanted us to work on over the off season, coming back into summer camp the next season.
Yep.
So, how are you doing that if you're constantly playing,
Yeah.
7-on-7 and all these other things that
Right.
distract. So, anyways, 1 season a year. Now, the last thing I wanted to bring to Darius, which I just brought to his attention, nowadays, I don't know how tackle football, especially youth tackle football, has gotten to this point. I was sharing with him that now they have these tackle football tournaments.
Yeah.
And at first I was like kind of confused. I was like, wait, so is it like they only play one team, like one game? Because in my head, it's like it's already, we're saying you should only play one season a year.
Yeah, yeah.
But now you're saying you're going to fit in 3 to 4 games in 2 to 3 days.
Yeah,
And I was like, well, is it a whole game? And they're like, no, it's a whole game, like a full game. So I go, wait, let me make this clear. You're playing one full game in the morning, and then you come back in the afternoon in the same day or evening and you play another full game.
Yeah.
And they said 100%. And then it's tournament. So if you win 2 games, then you come back the next day and you either in the championship game or you in a playoff bracket to play another game in the third day.
Yeah, that's
another tackle football game. So the other thing that got brought to my attention, I said, okay, wait, I'm trying to justify this in my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can see if you had an A team and a B team on one team.
Yep.
And then your A team will play in the morning and your B team plays in the afternoon.
Right.
But I still can't justify, if you even did that, which we all know you're gonna put the best of the best and you're gonna have them playing both games.
Right, right.
But even if you did separate it, the next day they're coming back and doing it again.
Yeah, same exact thing.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Jeez, that's I don't, me personally, I don't think that's effective at all. Like, I don't think that's worth it to put the kids through that. Like, that's a lot. Like, the most games I ever played within, what is it, like 2-3 days? Like, and it was an all-star game. And so there was a bunch of all-stars on our team, and it was like a rotating kind of thing. So, and we played we played on Friday and Saturday in the JPS All-Star Classic kind of thing. Yeah, that's when all the seniors, we all played on that. And so, like, we played Friday, I think we won, but even like the rotation, like we rotated like every other, I'm pretty sure it was every other series. And so, like, our legs were fresh after the first day. At least I was. Like, I felt good because I didn't play the whole game.
Why was there 2 All-Star games? How did that work? So Friday.
Oh, so there was a total of 4 teams. I think it was like there was a JPS East, West. There was a California team, JPS California team, and then the American South.
So it's kind of similar.
Yes.
To this.
So there was 4. Yes, but it was like our all-star game. So it was like our last hurrah for high school. So I was like, okay, I'll just play, just to make the memories.
Right.
And so that's why I played in it. But the difference is between us and them is that we had a rotation, like we had a whole rotation going.
Yeah, right.
Like, but for them, like, they're playing every single down, and especially for the little kids, like honestly, they're probably playing both ways. Like, some of the kids are going both ways, offense, defense. They get no break. They're probably on special teams too, on punt and all that. So they don't even get to come out the games, especially like all the skill positions.
Right.
Like, if you're good, like, okay, you're gonna be playing the whole game. But like, for me, like, I was just in every other series. I felt good after the first day, so I played the next day. Then that's when my body started getting sore, and I barely even played. We were rotating so much that, like, it felt like I didn't even play a whole game.
And I think it sucks because it's to me a parent decision. The kids will want to play.
Yes.
Kids are kids. They're 100%. Gonna want to play.
Yeah.
So, and it would appear that he's a kid. He can play all day long.
Yeah.
And you're 100% right. But what about the injury factors?
Yeah.
What about the biggest thing, especially in the NFL? Right. It's concussion. So it's like, what are we setting up our kids for in these tournaments? What is the goal and what are you getting out of it?
Yeah.
You're not getting recruited. Like, you won't get college attention from this. So what do you get at the end? And to me, and it's just no disrespect to any coaches that are involved in it, but it's almost like an ego thing. Like, I just want to win kind of ordeal. But what do the kids really get out of it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Because honestly, I can tell you sometimes, I can't even tell you who won the Super Bowl 3 years ago. Like, my mind is just not, if I can't remember that, and just me personally, some of you are NFL heads and 20 years straight of who won the Super Bowl. But who might even remember who won the high school state championship game in football? You know what I mean? 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you might have to really think about that. So my point is, who's going to remember who won a tournament in tackle? Who's going to remember who won the pop or JPS championship game 12U 3 years ago?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
can't even, you know what I mean? So like, my point is like, why are we doing it? What is the outcome of it? If that's not even a, like, what, you get a ring or you get you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Just playing, yeah.
but my thing always is safety first. My whole thing is, even in the training aspect, whether if it's speed, whether if it's strength, whether if it's skill, you know this firsthand being an NFL guy. It's always about preventive injury
Yes.
first and foremost. Especially at your level of play, when you're a professional, you do that, you get paid for it. So the first thing has to be, I cannot get injured. so
100%.
so
Yes.
I look at that the same way I do in every aspect that I'm
Yeah.
involved in sports.
I see.
It's injury free first.
It
We
does
got to
make
prevent
sense.
that first. So rather if it's the speed, the strength, the flag football, the 7-on-7, the tackle, soccer, it doesn't matter. Soccer, actually, what people don't know, it's female soccer is the highest rate of concussion. I don't know if you even knew that.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because
How the heck?
they're physical. They're physical
Yeah.
out there. Yeah. But
Can
anyhow,
imagine.
so moving forward, what was it like? Just to kind of wrap it up here. I know you're heading out tomorrow.
Yep.
The one question I wanted to ask you. By the way, he did a great job, man. I mean, because we do a summer performance program right now with athletes from middle school to high school, and I didn't even prompt Darius as to what we've been teaching. We do mindset training 5 days a week for the first hour of our class session. So we believe building the mind is just as important as the physical, sometimes more important. So every factor he hit was, number one, he talked about his why. And we just talked about that literally yesterday. We went over the why process. Why do you do it? So in the parts of where people are negative, you feel tired and all that good stuff. He talked about the why. He talked about gratitude. We touched upon gratitude, being grateful for your parents investing in you to be in a program because you said you wanted to be a pro athlete. We also talked about scheduling and your time like you got to know your time frame in a day.
Yes.
We even talked about being a good person. We even talked about, I always preach this every day to our athletes. At the end of the day, you just got to be a good person.
Yep. 100%.
I just went over with them last week or a few weeks ago. I gave them 10 ways to become a valuable asset to your team. And the huge one was communication, things like that.
Yes.
And I had them write it very like in an art way where they put it up on their mirror somewhere in their room.
Nice.
So
nice.
it's like a daily affirmation of how do I make myself valuable as a team player.
I like that.
So, but yeah, he hit it all on the nose. But the last question, we were, Darius was already through his pro day. He already did the combine. He came back home and waiting to get drafted. It was a pretty cool process. I've known Darius since he was in middle school or maybe younger, actually, because our son Ryan was his teammate as well. And it's just incredible to see, his journey and to see where he's at today. But I totally see why, being his family history and his background. We can get to that another time, but it's pretty historic on how his parents came to America basically and set the tone for him and his siblings. So to see him come back home and now, because of his teammate who trained here since he was in high school, Titus Mukiao Atamalada, and his roommate at UCLA, Darius came home and started training here at Phase 1 during that time frame of getting drafted. For us, it was a cool process because of knowing him from when he was a child to where he's at today, and just we're praying on it, and we're like, when are you going to get drafted? We're trying to stay real low key about what he's saying. He said, my agent's looking at the 6th round, and this was during the week. We're all like, oh my God, it's getting close. Saturday comes around on draft day. I'm out here training kids. I'm constantly looking at this draft, and I'm like, oh my God, there's another linebacker getting drafted.
Yep.
Oh, and another one. And then Auntie Sham, my wife, was like, stop being negative, think positive. So I'm in the middle of training that whole morning. And finally, I had a break and I opened my social media and there I saw it.
Yep.
Darius Muasau gets drafted with the Giants. Man, I was out here screaming.
Sir.
If you ever saw Darius or his parents' social media, it was a big celebration.
Oh yeah.
What was that like for you, Darius? If you can just sum it up real quick. You mentioned that at the age of 7, when you started playing flag, you found a passion for this game.
Yes.
You didn't play any other sport. You were locked in on football.
Yes.
And from that point, you said that the NFL. A lot of kids say this. I want to be in the NFL. But Darius was very non-negotiable with this. He said that when his teacher said, no, but you got to be realistic with what you're writing, he said, I am. So he knew dead serious, like the NFL was where he was going to be.
Yes.
What did that mean to you the day? I know this is beyond words, but what did that mean to you and your family the day you got drafted?
Man, it was just, still, I don't know how to explain it. Even to this day, it's just like, it's crazy to think about. I wake up every day just like, dang, this is the life I live now. I got to wake up, pinch myself. But it was just life-changing just to that whole moment. Just being able to, first of all, see my name, being called, getting the phone call from the Giants, and having just that whole moment was just, I couldn't picture it any different. Like, there's no better experience. But, man, just, it's like you said, man, it started from the age of 7. I had a vision for myself. And I didn't let anything distract me. I didn't veer off and all that. Like, I stayed on the path, stay strong in my faith. Although the roads did get a little bumpy here and there, I stayed, I stayed straight ahead and stayed focused, really. And, it's all because of my backbone, my parents, my family, all my coaches, all of my mentors that I had in my life. It wasn't just because of me. There was a lot of people that played a hand in my journey, and it's all thanks to them that where I'm at right now. And so, like, just going back to that whole experience was just so surreal. And just once I heard that, like, I knew, like, it was just a big weight off my shoulders, because it was very stressful. That day was so stressful. Going into the draft day, you have no clue what's going to happen. There's a lot of unknown going into it. Like, you don't know when you're going to get drafted, who's going to get drafted, or, like, I didn't even know if I was going to play ball at the next level. Like, even though, like, I did all that training, played all my college ball, there's so much that could have happened to where, I'll just come back home and just start working, or, like, who knows. But, through the grace of God and, a bunch of prayer, like, I am where I'm at right now. I got my name called. And I'm just really grateful living this blessed life. Very grateful to be where I'm at right now and finally accomplish that dream that I had of mine at the age of 7 that I set out for myself. But now it's a continuous ladder for me. Once I got to the top of this ladder, I gotta set it up, set a new goal, keep climbing that ladder. And so that's the next step for me, is just to keep on getting better, be the best version of myself, and do what I can to contribute to this team's success.
Nice. So I'm gonna sum this up real quick, and then Darius, I'm gonna let you give a parting shot, maybe whatever you want to say, maybe to the future athletes or whatnot, or whatever it is. But you guys got to understand, Darius's journey hasn't been an easy one. Where if you caught it, his only offer was from the University of Hawaii coming out of high school, and Darius was a dog in high school. So he only got one shot, and he took that shot. And, even in his freshman year at the University of Hawaii, he didn't think he shared that he didn't think, or they didn't think he was going to play his first season. He ended up becoming a starter. So he was a starter. I believe you were all conference at University of Hawaii as well, right?
Yes.
Was it more than 1 year or?
Yes, 2 years there. I was first team Mountain West my sophomore and junior year there.
Yep.
Yes.
And then he made a conscious decision, just had to put himself in a position to be in a situation where he could get into the NFL.
Yes.
So he took it over to UCLA, which education-wise he shared that was a big thing, is he had to learn how to adjust because the education is topped at UCLA.
Right.
He killed it at UCLA. And then, we already talked about the whole draft situation. And, he shared his journey on flag football was his thing until he was in the 6th grade. So, I mean, you don't have to feel like my kid has to play tackle because everybody else does to get ahead. Most of the athletes that we had come and talk to these summer program kids, we had a whole bunch of them, half football, some soccer, and other things. They all said the same. Most of them said the same thing, especially the football guys. Lokahi was one of them.
Yeah.
He said he didn't start playing tackle football till he was in the middle school because he was too heavy.
Sounds about right.
Opu Samanavich, who was old school from Waianae, played at UW and then a short stint with the Raiders.
Yep.
He started playing football in high school because he was too heavy for Pop Warner. Back then, you only had Pop Warner. They didn't have Big Boy League. So he couldn't play football till he was a freshman in high school. So that shows you that you don't have to start your kid in tackle at such a young age. You let them develop, maybe even in other sports, to become athletic, and then they'll hone in on what they're really and truly passionate about within tackle. I'm not saying don't put your kids in tackle football at a young age, but don't feel pressured like you have to.
Right.
So yeah, man, Darius, we're super excited. He flies back tomorrow morning to the Giants camp, getting in preparation for preseason. I'm super excited because Darius did share he's on all special teams right now. He's in rotation with the first group on defense with the linebackers with the Giants, and they haven't even put on pads yet. So this is what I share with Darius. So this is my prediction, is that once they put the pads on when they go back to camp, I think this is where Darius will truly separate himself, and I think he'll earn the starting position as a rookie. That's my bet. So with that said, any parting shots you want to share with the people?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you, Coach. Thank you for always having me here.
Yeah, appreciate you.
I've always been training here since the pre-draft process, and this is a great place to be to train your kids and all that, and just being here and growing as a person overall. And this is a great place to be for all your kids, and highly recommend this. But first and foremost, just thankful for you. Thank you to Auntie Shan. Thank you guys for having me here. It was so nice talking to all the kids today. But thank you everyone from Hawaii. This is who I do it for. You guys, this is my home, and so very grateful for everyone. Very blessed, and just looking forward to the rest of this year and how it'll turn out for me.
Sweet, man. We're super happy for you, Darius. This is Darius, by the way, meaning the smile you see on his face, the humble guy he is, the words he's using. This is not just in front of the camera. This is really who he is and who his parents raised him to be. And I couldn't be happier for you and your family, man.
Sir,
thank you for coming through, man.
Cool.
So episode 1 in the book.
Episode 1.
Look out for the rest. Check out our website at www.p1hawaii.com. Guys, it's not just about the physical aspect here. It's also in the mental aspect to not only win in sports, but to win in life. And for you believers out there, we do have an Athletes in Christ for Kids. Darius mentioned he put, it's faith, family, football. That's why he was raised in his family. Pretty similar here in my family. It's faith, family, finance. And it's just when you put God above everything, everything works out in its favor. All right, guys, be blessed. Take care.
Sorry.